Hey, what's up guys? My name is Alexander Florzone. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the G80 from Jeecoo. This is a mid-range headset, generally speaking, but when you're looking at specifically wireless headsets, it's definitely on the lower range. At $56.99 USD, it comes packed with some pretty decent features, like some pretty good battery life, RGB on the outside, wireless functionality, of course, and pretty good device compatibility. It looks pretty good when you just look at it on the surface, but is it really a good headset? Is it really pretty, or does it just look that way?
Alright, so here I have a unboxing, and you may notice that the sound quality of this voiceover is a little sad, and that's because I always do my unboxing voiceovers with the microphone of the product that I'm unboxing, if that product has a microphone. So this is a headset, so here I am recording it, so you can be the judge of the quality based off of that. My first impressions were not great. Pulling it out of the box, it definitely just felt cheap immediately, which was unfortunate. The construction was pretty solid though. It was mostly the materials that felt cheap, not so much the construction. I was also actually somewhat impressed with the look of the side of the headset. It's pretty cool looking. It doesn't look so cheap from the outside. It definitely feels more than it looks. The button click was really nice, and of course we have USB-C, which is thank goodness. And then we have our 3.5mm audio jack, as well as our jack for our microphone that is removable, which is a nice little feature. Again, the outside does look pretty nice, it's pretty smooth, and the lights actually looked pretty cool, even when they weren't off. Then here we have our microphone, which plugs in really nice, but unfortunately isn't very sturdy. More about that later in the video. And then our cables here. The cables definitely struck me right away as super cheap, which was too bad. It's nice that they included them, but at the same time, if they suck, then they suck. Same thing with the audio cable here. And here we have our USB receiver, which has really good range. More about that later. One of the better features of the headset. Also has a little LED indicator for connection, and that thing worked pretty good. The connectivity was generally good, but more on that later. And then back to the audio cable, of course, which sucked.
Alright, now I want to start with the negatives on this headset, because then we can at least just get past that and look at the couple things that it kind of does right. First of all, first impressions pulling it out of the box, I was surprised by the cheap feeling material on the ear cups. The cushion on top here is practically non-existent. The ear cups don't rotate horizontally, and they don't tilt vertically. That is probably the biggest problem with this headset, is that it doesn't tilt vertically, and so it does not make for a good fit at all. I'm not sure how well you can see when I'm putting on this headset, but the two ear cups are basically tilted like that. That's an exaggeration, but that's sort of the direction that they're going. So it actually just leaves a space here. And so that is not only a comfort thing, but also a sound thing, because it does not create a good sealed pocket for the sound to reside in. It sort of escapes out the bottom, for lack of a better way to describe that. The reality is that this headset will literally just not fit most people's heads unless you have a very unusual physique. Now that first impression was pretty bad, but it is not even helped going forward, because I ran straight into the cables, which feel very cheap. The charge cable and the audio cable here both feel like bottom of the line, like cheapest you can get. They feel like they're probably gonna break pretty fast. And that feeling of low quality definitely carries through into the microphone as well, which does not bend to stay in the right place where you like want it to be. It's one of those bendy ones, but it just doesn't stay at all, which totally defeats the purpose of having that type of microphone. And so that was really disappointing to see as well. Now, I think what happened here with Jeecoo's budget is they wanted to have as many features as possible, and they spread the budget too thin while still trying to keep the headset at that low price. And so you end up with a whole lot of features and functionality, but it's all very low line, especially the physical headset itself. I think that they took a lot of the budget away from that and put it towards things like the wireless functionality and RGB and better battery life. Now, some of those features are good, and I'm glad that they have them, like a decent battery life at 12 hours. That's pretty good for this price range for sure. For a wireless headset in general, that's actually not bad, especially when you consider that when you shut off the RGB, it can last up to 24 hours. So that also brings me to the RGB. It's like, why throw the RGB on there? It just feels to me like it's a selling point that it looks good and people want to buy it more because, oh, it's got RGB. It's awesome. But it's on your head. You're not even going to see the lights half the time. And so RGB is really an extra thing that I can only really see being a reasonable feature on like really high-end headsets where you're already paying extra for all these other little features that, you know, the average gamer doesn't need. If they just took out the LEDs in there, took out the RGB, you'd be spending less money on the RGB because you wouldn't even have it there, and you'd be spending less battery power. They could cut the battery in half. It would cost less for the battery because it would be half the capacity. It would cost less because you would have no RGB on there, and then that money could be put into better cushioning surfaces and better materials in general. Even having really nice buttons and volume control on the headset is not totally necessary. If they cut down on that, they could have also put that budget towards just better materials as well. All in all, I think Jeecoo just flew too close to the sun, trying to come out with a headset with tons of features at a really low price, and now they are plummeting down to the earth with a headset that does have lots of features at a really low price, but it just has too many sins to be washed away by some really dope RGB. Alright, now that I've torn this thing down utterly and brutally, I think that we can build it back up a little bit and try and look at the few things that it kind of does right. First of all, something that I did notice in the unboxing is that the construction's actually kind of solid. While the design fails miserably, it does feel like it's built pretty decent, like it's not going to fall apart. The materials aren't awesome, but I think that we have enough plastic built up here, and we actually have a metal band in the adjustment slider here, and so I think that it's a pretty decently built headset when it comes to, you know, whether it's gonna like break in half or not. And then of course I do have to admit that it does deliver on that decent suite of features. We have a volume up down as well as the power and a mic mute button. And a couple of those buttons actually have dual functionality so that you can really easily turn on or off the RGB as well as turning on and off the 7.1 surround sound. So that's pretty nice. Like the buttons are there, the functionality is there. It was a pretty decent pleasure to use when it came to, you know, interface and everything. But when wearing it, anyway, sorry. Let's get back to the positives. We'll cover it all on the final verdict. I guess mentioning the 7.1 surround sound, I should talk about the drivers in it. 50mm drivers, which are actually pretty decent. They're not amazing, of course, but they're not as bad as I thought they would be. For sure. They're kind of average for this price range. They're actually quite good, just generally. Compared to, of course, some higher end headsets, they are definitely missing some, you know, fullness in the lower frequencies. But, you know, to the average consumer, they're going to be like pretty decent. Surprisingly, it's probably the best part of this headset. One of the parts that I thought might have been the worst. And then I can't forget the connectivity. The connectivity and the compatibility is actually pretty decent. We got a little USB receiver here, which actually does some really decent range. I had my computer down here, I had it plugged in, had it connected, I played some music, and I was able to walk all the way up my stairs down to the opposite end of the house, and it was still connected, no cutting or anything. It was actually pretty solid. And then on the compatibility front, it does quite well also, because you have this USB receiver here that you can plug into PC, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch even, if it's in its dock. And so that's pretty solid, just right there with the wireless connectivity. But also, if you really want to, you can pull out your 3.5mm audio cable here, and you can connect to Xbox controller. That's how you would connect it to an Xbox, I guess. I don't know why the receiver doesn't work on Xbox, but is what it is, I suppose. And you can also connect to mobile, and whatever other device has a 3.5mm headphone jack. So the compatibility is actually there, and it's not like best in the industry, but for this price range, I'm happy with those features for sure. And finally, I suppose I should make an honorable mention to the dope RGB. As unneeded as it is, it actually does look pretty cool. Alright, and now on to the final verdict. This one's gonna hurt because I really do appreciate when brands send out their products for me to take a look at, because they value the value that my channel gives. And, I'm honored that they would send me out something like this to take a look at. But when it comes down to it, if a product is bad, then it's bad. And I give my honest opinion 100% all the time, because if I don't stick to those values, then there is no value here to you, the viewer, or to the company sending me the product. So I try to keep it 100% honest, even when something sucks, so that when something really is good, you can trust my opinion on it. And so, with great woe for the J100 Pro, also by Jeecoo, which was quite a decent headset by the way, I condemn the G80 to loneliness and exile forever because of its totally inadequate fit, its very poor cushions and cushioning surfaces, and of course its general imbalance in where the budget of the headset went when it should have gone to other things to make it an actual good product. Now, I guess it's important to consider that I may just be wrong about this. Maybe I'm being overcritical, because this is a really cheap headset. Like, if you really literally can't afford anything more, you might say, okay, well then, that's just what you get, right? But the Stealth 600 from Turtle Beach, Stealth 600 Gen 2 mind you, Turtle Beach offers a refurbished version of that, and it is often on sale. Right now, at the time of filming this video, it is on sale, and it only comes in at a few dollars more than the Jeecoo g80. And so I recommend that if you're in the market for a headset like this, you definitely check out my review of the Stealth 600 Gen 2, because that is a really solid headset. It's critically acclaimed as one of like the best headsets out there when it comes to especially console gaming with a wireless gaming headset. Like, it's very critically acclaimed, and I suggest you check out my review of that and keep an eye on Turtle Beach for a sale or something like that, because you're just going to be way better off in literally every single way. So I highly recommend you check that out. Now, if you really want something brand new and you just need it right now, you can't wait for a sale or anything like that, then I also recommend Jeecoo's own J100 Pro. It is wired, yes, so it's giving up that wireless functionality, but it is also just more better and balanced in every way. Maybe you don't have RGB, maybe you don't have as many buttons on there, but it's just generally a really high quality headset, and you're just gonna have a better time if your headset fits your ears and is actually comfortable and is actually of decent quality in the ear cups, because that's going to make for long-term comfort. And ear cup surface also matters, because the cheap stuff I think tends to like crack and fray and fall apart a lot easier. So that's my final verdict for this headset. I'm sorry, Jeecoo, it is what it is. I keep my reviews honest. I hope you'll still send me more headsets to check out in the future. If you come out with another wireless gaming headset that is of much greater quality and worthy of a really positive review, then it will get one from me. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and hit the like button if this video helped you out, and leave a comment as to what you think about this headset. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.